Flexaholic, live and direct, man. Official Maryland ball. Stay tuned, man. I'm about to give y'all a glimpse of my life, man. Pay attention. Yeah, this is the location, man, where I was birthed by a young lady named Linda Jones, Calvin Duker, Senior. Yeah, Chesapeake City, man. My hometown, little country town, little, rich Caucasian town, as I would say, but definitely a beautiful location, man. Like, a tourist town, honestly, that most of the times on the weekends, every weekend, there's a couple little upscale restaurants that a lot of out-of-towners would come to and eat at these locations, and it's a few gift shops, a few different little stores, antique stores and things of that nature. Of course, my elementary school and my high school are within five-minute time frame, distance-wise.
My name is Linda Diane Jones. I am Calvin Levon Duker's mother. When he was younger, he was no problem, but when he got in elementary school, I would say he was in the 5th grade. I think it was the 5th grade. He started acting up, didn't want to do what he was supposed to do.
I was definitely the only black kid in my classes, all the way from kindergarten all the way up till high school. And this is Chesapeake City Elementary. You know what I'm saying? Little small school. I never really was feeling, mainly because I always felt out of place. And, it wasn't extremely racist. It was a few kids that, were on that nigger type of stuff or things of that nature. But for the most part, everybody really liked me and kind of dealt with me and really never looked at me as being the only black kid in the school. This is the main block that all of the younger black kids that grew up in this town, this is where we all hung out at. Right here was a house that has been remodeled, but was an older schoolhouse, and the one behind it was a black family that was really more like my everyday second home type time. And this is the church steps that we would all just sit on and just be out here.
Because it could have been an accident, which I thank God that nothing happened. He ran down to the levees, which is here in Chesapeake City, and he wind up, because I didn't know what to do, I had counseling, he wind up having to go to Rockford, which is a behavior place. And he was there, I guess, about a week. I discussed it with his father, him and his father and I. We wind up taking him, and let me tell you, it was the hardest thing for both of us. And we both come down the road crying because I had to leave my son. And then as he got older, he wanted to hang with the bigger kids, which he was only 14. And at 14, you had to be in my house at 9 o'clock. But he thought, because he was friends with the other guys that were down the street, he thought he could hang with them because his older brother was down there, his older cousin was down there. And I said no. So the time that he did leave and go to New York, I didn't know where he was. I called around. So the next day, when he did come home, I packed his clothes up. And I told him, I said, you can go stay with your father, because you will not come in here anytime that you want to.
This is another one of the houses that I was raised in. This is a location where the childhood friend that really showed me like everything in life on life outside of this small town, like the city life, the street life, the New York, the New Jersey, the Philly, the Baltimore. You know, rest easy, bro. I already know. But he was killed by a cop about 2 to 3 years ago during the time that I was doing my Fed case. This area right here, man, little small town, Cecil in Maryland, Cache County, you know what I mean? Well, this ain't actually Cache County, we used to call this Brick City. But yeah, man, this area right here is where I was living after I stopped staying at home, which I was about 15 years old. 15, yeah, definitely before I turned 16, I was living down here. I was staying with one of my children's mother's cousins, you know, 2 brothers, and I stayed down here for like 4 years straight. And when I left here, it was when I first caught my first case down here. I forgot what the case was. It was a drug-related case, but when I caught that case, I went to jail for like a year or something of that nature. And I still came down here on a regular basis, but I wasn't living down here anymore. And this town really was one of the core towns that groomed me into, you know, the hustler that I became, because I had to really like adapt to someone else's home environment and really navigate my way through learning everything about this town. Not being actually from here, but I was raised around all of the individuals from here. We all went to the same school. This block was the main area where most of the traffic came through, and a lot of people was just doing their regular daily activities. You know what I'm saying? I acquired a lot of habits, you know what I'm saying, from selling drugs to using drugs, you know, learning how to coke, a lot of things of that nature. I was actually, you know, this land, this little piece of property right here, this little yard, was a house there. They tore the house down, but I used to sleep in this yard overnight, you know what I'm saying, in my car, and just, you know, do my thing while just out here sleeping in the streets and being out here just fending for myself, trying to find my way. Even though I was actually supposed to be staying with, you know, my children's mother's cousins, because they made an agreement, her and my mom. I came down here one weekend and they ain't leave since. But this was a real part of my upbringing, man, and a major part of, you know, my life growing up, man. It really brought so many different characteristics out of me, learning how to adapt in different environments. And then before I came here, I wasn't selling crack. I was only used to powder cocaine. So when I came down here, I really, you know what I'm saying, started learning how to cook and do my thing. And then it was up from there. 19, you know what I'm saying, had my own cars, you know, paid for everything on my own, you know what I'm saying. This is the town that basically was my backbone and kept me from ever needing to go back home or need my parents.
So he went, and I wasn't happy about that either, because that was my baby, and I did not want him to live with his father. But I had to prove a point to him that there are rules, and my rules were my rules here, and his rules when he was with his father was his father's rules. So he stayed, and of course a couple days he wanted to come home, and I said, no, you think you're grown. But after a couple days after that, he did come back home. But then ever since, when my father died, Reverend Alvin Thomas Jones, and his father and I decided to part ways, because I could not live in an environment where a man would drink, and I didn't want to live like that, and it wasn't good for my sons. So I removed myself, which made Vaughn rebel against me, because he felt like I broke up his happy home. And I'm sure I did, but there was no stability, and I was not going to be in a house where two people argued. And that's one thing I tried not to do, is argue in front of my kids. And I never badmouthed his father, because I knew his father loved him in his own way. But it was not for me. We had a time. It wasn't always bad, and there was some good times. But I knew our season had run out. And so I came back home. And this is where I've been for 64 years.
There's an old schoolhouse that one of my kids' mothers lived in that I stayed in as well, that, you know, I could be basically on the main highway and just stand out and be visible, and the money would come straight to me. Then, you know, this little, it's like a little circle, you know what I'm saying? This little area from really no action on this block, but you hit this corner and go down this one main street. This was one of the main streets where, you know, a lot of activity would occur in this little town called Warwick, which is attached to Middletown, Chesapeake, and Cecilton, which are all the areas where I frequently moved around through, doing me to the fullest, sliding through with no brakes. Like, nobody really was able to stop my movement, and it wasn't no reason to, because it was all family, it was all love. I had older cousins that were respected and did their thing, so I had a pass anywhere, everywhere I went, you know what I mean? And this little ass town, man, there's a lot of things going on around here, and I had good friends as well as family out here, and I'll pop up every now and then, do my thing out here if I needed to, you know what I'm saying? I'd be able to just blend in any spot. Like, I'm like, this spot ain't clicking here, I'm gonna shoot over here. And, you know, I really, you know, ran through these places, man, daily, on a daily basis. And this is really as big as the town is. It ain't no bigger than this. A lot of things has changed, you know what I'm saying? That's why I came to the realization of, man, you know, it's not like it used to be. You don't even see people out on the streets no more. Ever since cell phones and things of that nature, everybody really started minimizing where they be at to do their thing. You want to slide through and just see the inside. You know what I mean? This is a study that my grandfather had built. You know what I'm saying? He added extensions on to this this house and made himself a little personal study. Yeah, that's my little cousin. That's the newborn baby. It's my cousin's little baby, looking just like her sister. Yeah, definitely Mom Dukes up in here.
What? Hey, the baby.
Oh, she's talking about waking up the baby. We ain't doing nothing but handling business as usual. This is my mother. If you wanna bring her
don't
out
come
here.
the day when I'm in my bed.
I told you I was coming. You know, now that we here in Middletown, pulling up at my dad's house, you know what I'm saying, where I was raised at. Yeah, man, like this is one of the most populous blocks in this town, or used to be, you know what I'm saying? I used to be up in the window looking out when I was a kid, watching the activity, ripping and running up and down here. And then kind of influenced me to want to be out there in that thrill or that heat of the moment. I would be out here standing posted up. My pop would always be like, man, don't be pulling up in front of my house, bringing them people up in front of my crib, blase, blah, etc., etc. Me and him had issues. He done told me he was gonna call the police on me. I done threatened to, you know, hit him in the head with a pipe and things of that nature. You know, I was just really on some angry type evil shit. But outside of that, my family is all through this little town. So I jumped from Maryland over here, come through. You know what I'm saying? It was love for the most part, but I was always popping. Had new cars, had, you know, was dressing always, all the girls on me and things of that nature. But I did my thing here, and, you know, everything's changed since then. But I still pull up whenever I want to pull up. The love is still the same. And, you know, it's a good period of time in my life growing up, man. There was a lot of good memories out here. Oh, you done ran off. Yeah. What's going on, Mom? I'm just doing this little documentary, just giving a little visual view of my life, you know what I'm saying? This actually is my godmother, my dad's sister. Call her Mom. She's really been a mother to me my whole life. Raised me as if I was one of her own. Still to this day treats me the same way as if I'm her son. You know what I mean? I grew up in here. And, you know, that's basically about it.
Then I was a duker, and his father is my brother, but he was always here with the kids. I had kids, you might see my children up there, but I adopted him as my godson. And we've been tight, we've been good for years, and through all his heartache, he's always been my child. That did not stop me from loving him, and I was just about to say, I'm so proud of it. I saw the thing on the Facebook that I want to try to make that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be out of the country or be able to travel, but yeah, the good things. And I think sometimes when we go through a lot of heartache and a lot of problems and stuff, that gives you, now you can speak from experience.
Right.
People know you if you've been through something.
He's not perfect, but I am proud of him. And I pray to God every day that now that he's out and not behind bars, that he stays that way. And then he shows his sons, because he has sons now. He has to show them that they have to be responsible and they have to take care of themselves. But most of all, you have to love yourself first. In order to love yourself, you can love someone else. And then you can show that the love that you have for yourself, you can have for your family and your children. Because you have to come first and your kids come next. But for family, you have to love and respect one another. You're not always going to get along, but you have to try your best to be there for each other.